Hey nerds, what's up? Today is going to be a belated January TBR or to be read. So let's get right on into this. It is a long list. So the first thing I wanted to kind of announce in this video is that I'm actually going to be doing something that Allie from Hardback Hoarder tried to do, or did succeed in, I believe, last year, which is I'm going to try to read all of the Goodreads best books winners of 2019. I'm not going to try to do it all this month, but I am going to be doing it within the next few months. So part of it is that I am not going to buy any of these books because I don't trust that they'll all be good. So I am going to be utilizing Hoopla and the library as much as possible for all of these. So I am in the midst of waiting for them, which is why this is going to take longer than just 1 month, because I refuse to buy all of these books. So with that said, some of these books are from that, some of these books are not from that, and like I said, this is a long list of books that I would really like to get to this month. So now that we've said that, I actually have already finished 2 books on my list for the year. So I read The King of Bourbon Street by Thea DeSalle. I actually was gifted this by Chelsea over at Chelsea Darling Reads, so thank you again, Chelsea, for sending me this my way. This is a smutty romance, and it's one of Chelsea's favorites, and it's about a girl that goes by Rain, and she is kind of on the naive side, but with that said, she also does this crazy thing to get out from under the foot of her mother, who is very controlling, and so she fakes a sex scandal in order to get away from what her mom wants her to do with her life. And this is a girl who's an adult woman. She's like in her early 20s, like 24, mid-20s. So she runs off to New Orleans with the help of her brother, and in doing so, she meets the owner of the hotel she's staying at, and he is out of a angsty divorce with the woman who taught him how to have dirty sex, and he meets this naivete girl who he wants to fuck. And the story goes from there. So what I learned in reading this smutty novel is that the writing was good. If you like smut, I recommend this to you. However, I also learned that I don't think I like smut, because I really wanted to sit with the romance of this novel and the cute scenes in between the sex, and also the climax, pun intended, the trouble of the story with the mom who's overbearing. I also just realized I haven't been using my microphone. This will be a nice test to see, do you like it better with my microphone or without my microphone? Now I'm using my microphone. Sorry if the quality changed in any way. I also have already finished reading the Lives Untold how is it called? The Lives of the Women that Jack the Ripper Killed. I don't know. It has 2 different titles and it's a really long title. The 5 Women that Jack the Ripper Murdered. So this is a nonfiction book, and it was pretty dry. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars as well, because I really like what the author, Hallie Rubenhold, was doing. The whole point of this nonfiction novel about these 5 women who were murdered by Jack the Ripper is that oftentimes, one, it's misread. There's a misconception that all 5 of the women that Jack the Ripper killed were prostitutes, and based on the evidence of everything, that's not true. So there's like this misconception about them, and then also just the fact that like we tend to focus way more on the mysterious, horrific murderer, Jack the Ripper, and we don't really talk about the women whose lives were stolen by Jack the Ripper. So this whole thing is to kind of twist that, and I really appreciate like what this book did with that. I think the author did a great job doing research, and there was information here that I never did even realize we would ever know about women who lived in the 1800s, like 1880s. Like, where did she get all this information? That's crazy. obviously, like, it is real information. It's just wild that we still have enough information about people living that long ago to have a book like this. So all of that I very well respect and acknowledge and think was really good. I did find that the storytelling was a little bit dry, but like also this is a nonfiction book. It didn't need to be suspenseful. I think going into it, I also had the misconception that it would be more about the murders and less about the women who were murdered, which just shows what a dumb shit I am, because it's literally about the lives of the women, not about the deaths of the women. Moving on to books that I haven't read yet this month. Going back for a second, The Five is the book that won the nonfiction award from Goodreads. I also want to read this month, ideally, Girl Stop Apologizing, which is the sequel to Girl Wash Your Face, written by Rachel Hollis. This was the self-help category winner for Goodreads, and I actually just happened to read Girl Wash Your Face, so I'm also interested in this like on its own. Girl Wash Your Face was the book that I read last month that I found it just didn't match perfectly with my life, because Rachel Hollis talks a lot about self-help in relationship to being a working mom, and I'm not a mom, so a lot of it just like didn't exactly match with what I'm working with or what I want to work on and stuff like that. And she also uses a lot of Christianity in her work, and like how to get through it and whatever. And although I probably would consider myself agnostic, I'm definitely not a Christian, so there was some disconnect there for me as well. So I'm interested to see if I have only those same problems with this one, but I'm very curious. I did like it. I just wish I connected a little bit better with the first one, so I'm gonna read that. Also would like to read The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. The sequel is actually what won the Best Dystopian category for Goodreads, so I haven't read the first one yet, so I'm just gonna read the first one, and that's kind of the way that some of these are gonna go, because I'm not gonna read all of a series just to get to the one that won. I'm gonna read the first one. And I've been interested in reading this for quite a while. I know that there's a TV show. I watched a couple episodes of it. I liked it, but it was too much for me the year that Trump got elected. That was just bad timing. And it hurt too much to watch, so I stopped watching it. Haven't ever read it. If you don't know what The Handmaid's Tale is about, it's about a dystopian world in which most women are now infertile, and the women who have been able to be fertile are basically enslaved to powerful couples in the country of America, and are essentially sex slaves and procreating slaves. So it's really fucked up, basically. The best graphic novel for Goodreads was Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell, so I'm planning on reading that this month as well. I'm just waiting for it to come in from the library, but I definitely will be getting to this month. It's a contemporary graphic novel written by Rainbow Rowell. I don't really know much else, sorry. So those are all the books I'm planning on reading that relate to the Goodreads Awards, but I also would really like to finish Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas, because I'm still 200 pages in, and I started reading this in November and then put it down because I stopped wanting to read it. But we're in a read-along. If you didn't know, me and Brittni from Brittni's Book Find are hosting a read-along. We're going to be reading Kingdom of Ash and live showing about it at the end of February, on February 28th at 5:30, I think, on my channel. I'll put the correct information right here, but I need to read this one in order to read that one. So I'm no quitter. I'm gonna finally read it. Jesus Christ. This is the 6th book in the Throne of Glass series. The Throne of Glass series is about a girl named Lena Sardathian who was enslaved after being caught for being an assassin, and the prince saves her in order to participate in the game to become the king's assassin. That's what the first book is about. That is nothing about what the rest of the series is about, because shit goes down. If you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend. Please read more than just the first one though, because the first one is just okay. I'd also really like to get to The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh. This is a vampire book. Although from what I've heard, nobody should be calling it that because the vampire doesn't really play a huge part in it. But this book is also based in New Orleans, and it's set in the 1800s, I believe. And I'm just having some serious FOMO for New Orleans because we were there last year for the beginning of the year and I really missed it and I just want to be back. And so I really want to read this to give me some feeling. I also would really like to get to How to Break a Heart. This book I received in exchange for a review from NetGalley, so I do need to get to this. This book comes out on January 20th, and it's a contemporary novel, but I honestly can't remember much else. I believe it's a romance, though, and I just want to get to it. I started it, actually. I'm now 2% in, a whole 2 of them, so we'll be getting to this. Jesus Christ, we haven't even gotten to my Goodreads TBR jar yet. So the last book that I want to read before getting into that is Cress by Marissa Meyer. I just downloaded it because Twitter voted that this is the book I should pick up next on audio. This is the 3rd book in the Lunar Chronicles series. If you don't know what the Lunar Chronicles series is about, they are fairy tale retellings, and each one follows a different fairy tale. The first is Cinderella, the second is Little Red Riding Hood, the third, the one I'm on, is Rapunzel, and they all intertwine. Each one follows a different main character, but all of the books are going to intertwine at some point. They are sci-fi. They're about the world far in the future when people have been living on Lunar, the moon, for so long that there is now like gene mutation and stuff, and they're warring planets and all of that good stuff. Those are all of the books that I for sure want to read, other than something that's going to come out of here. I don't think I'm going to do my Goodreads TBR this month. I haven't done it on this channel yet, so I'll introduce that later, but I have my TBR jar. This TBR jar has almost all of the books that are on my shelves that I haven't read yet. I'm going to pick out 3 books and I have to read one of them in the month. And so the first one is Memoirs of a Geisha, which is a non-fiction classic based on about the geisha. There's actually controversy about this book. I guess the woman who is the geisha that this book is about, the memoirs of, she wrote her own autobiography after this book came out, basically saying that the author messed everything up. So that's a book, and that's what I know about it. And the next book that I could choose is this one, which is Words on Bathroom Walls. This is a young adult contemporary about a boy who has schizophrenia, I believe. And the last book that I'm going to pick is this one, Forest of a Thousand Lanterns. This book is the first book in a series, and it's about Zifeng, a beautiful peasant girl. The stars say she's destined to be Empress of Fenglu, but only if she embraces the darkness within her, so she must make a choice carefully. One is between obscurity and the other is between everlasting glory, but with great sacrifice. Young adult fantasy based in China or some sort of Chinese folklore, I believe, or a memoir of a geisha, which is a classic nonfiction, or a young adult contemporary about a child with some sort of mental illness, but maybe, and I think it's schizophrenia, but I'm not 100% sure. Those are the 3 books that I have to pick between this month in order to read, and I'm not going to pick another book because this is already 10 books. 10 books in the month of January. It's already January 10th, so I have 20 days to read 10 books. That's a lot of books, and I don't promise I'll get through all of them, but I'll try my darndest. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. I am changing my schedule for filming and uploading, for uploading on this channel. I will now be posting on Mondays and Wednesdays on this channel, and then on my second channel I'll be posting Tuesdays and Thursdays. So keep an eye out for the newest video coming to you. After this weekend, I will start on Mondays. So things, they are changing. Be prepared. I'm basically posting a video every day for the next week in order to get onto this new schedule. So I hope you guys enjoy. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and you can follow me on all my social media linked down below in the description. And I will see you guys very soon with a new video. Bye! I love you guys!